up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the groove surround us, everything's alright.
From the combination heights, quest the truth is our guide. In the vast expanse, it's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the groove surround us, everything's alright. SNX radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Heavy bass drops with tight beats.
Illuminate the shadows, the echo of our call.
On this road we will never fall.
Feel the energy rising, can you sense the spark? As we dive deeper into the cosmic arc.
Stories of the universe, mysteries unfold. In the heart of SNX, where the truth is gold. Every note we play, every line we write, crafting our legacy, shining ever bright. SNX radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots. Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Here in the spotlight, we're taking our turn. With the fire in our hearts, let the passion burn. SNX radio's call, ringing through the air. Together we rise, together we dare.
So join us now, let the rhythm flow. With SNX radio, we're ready to go. Unraveling the mystery side by side, we stand hand in hand. In this dance of truth, let the story expand. Of our galaxy. Of our galaxy. And as the horizons, our spirits ignite, chasing the dreams that fill the night. Stars are our compass, and time is our friend. Together we'll journey where stories transcend. Mystery cloaked in sky. Bound by the stars, our story unfolds. In the universe, our destinies are told. In the quiet of the night, we dream and fly, with questions that echo through an endless sky. Bound by the stars, our story unfolds. In the universe, our destinies are told. Ooh, yeah. Where the stars and secrets glow, Summation X radios glow. In the night, we'll ride the show into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, oh, yeah, yeah. Come with us and let it go, go. Night sky whispers in the dark. Shh. Secret trails will leave a mark. Follow close, ignite that spark. We're on a ride, it's just the start. Into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, oh, yeah, yeah. Come with us and let it go, go. Feel the rhythm, feel the night. Every heartbeat, pure delight. Mysteries come to light. Hold on tight, it's out of sight. Into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, oh, yeah, yeah. Come with us and let it go, go. Feel the rhythm, feel the night. It's every heartbeat, pure delight. Mysteries come to light. Hold on tight, it's out of sight. Into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, oh, yeah, yeah. Come with us and let it go, go.
Hello, everyone. Oh, I did that. So I was going to introduce our guest before I brought him out and then kicked him off, but threw him back on. But welcome to SNX Radio. This is Coley, and Rodney will be joining us here shortly. We have quite the... You guys are going to be excited by this guest tonight. He's absolutely phenomenal. I've had the opportunity to see a lot of his work. He sent like raw videos where it's just absolutely amazing. I just wanted to say hello, everybody. We are streaming live now on YouTube, Twitter, X, Discord, Twitch, Facebook, and other places. And we are excited to announce that we're starting a little campaign. SNX Radio is taking over the airwaves because we have expanded and we are now into the UK, Canada officially, and Australia. And then we've also hit other places around the world. So it's great to see it, and it's really exciting. And I just want to thank everybody for your support, because without you, we couldn't have done what we're doing, and we couldn't get these messages out and answers to the experiencers. But I just wanted to say hello. Oh, we got JV Noteworthy. If you don't have, you've got to go and check out her podcast. She's got great stuff. I've been a guest over there. She's absolutely wonderful. Hey, Chris. Oh, he's a local. He's great. Just wanted to say hello to Scott. Oh man. Hey, Scott. How you doing? Oh, Polly. William, oh, it's nice to see you over here too. Always. Cassandra, you're awesome. But yeah, it'll see how we pick up. But we do get a lot of views over on the Twitter, and so we're gonna see if we can get them over into chat a little bit too and ask some questions for our guests. But without further ado, I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about James Gilliland, and he is an experiencer, and he has encountered his childhood. He has encountered several thousand, he said. If not, he has got some great points of contact with ETs, but yeah, I guess I'd just tell you, he's a best-selling author, a minister, founder of the Enlightened Contact with Extraterrestrial Intelligence. If you haven't heard of that, that's ECTI, so SC, I believe. I'm going to ask him for the proper pronunciation on that, but he's got, he started out UFO hotspot. I don't know if any of you have heard of this, but it is, he does have a ranch. We'll have to ask him about that too. So that's actually some really interesting in Trout Lake, Washington. And so he said that it's legitimately been a hotspot. So he's been on a journey of not only this and ET contact, but also awakening. And we're going to touch on that too. He's been a frequent guest on Coast to Coast AM, the History Channel, ABC, Fox News, and host of As You Wish Talk Radio on BBS Radio. Gilliland promotes CE5 protocol and peaceful human ET contact. His work has been documented in films. Contact has begun inspires a global audience. He is a global speaker. He's, like I said, without further ado, let's welcome James Gilliland to the stage. Thank you. And let's get hello and welcome. I hope I didn't slaughter the terminology, but
no worries. Yeah, it's ECETI. It's ECETI.
Okay, thank you for that.
It's Enlightened Contact with Extraterrestrial Intelligence.
Can you tell them a little bit about that? Because I've had the opportunity of following your work for years and years now. Yeah. Can you tell them a little bit about it? Because it's amazing work that you're doing.
Well, basically, it started like 5 years old. I had a near-death experience, and I was actually dying in the hospital, and I didn't know who it was, but a woman in blue kept coming to me and stroking my head and getting me through the experience. And then finally, I found out later on it was Mother Mary, and I'm not Catholic, and she said neither is she, so
I believe that, yes.
Universal. She's here for everybody, all the children. And then at 25, I had another drowning experience where I went through the tunnel and ended up in the plane of bliss, and it was quite an experience. And then I had several white light experiences after that, and I had contacts where they brought back all of my memories, going back to, it sounds crazy, but going back before the earth was even solid, so.
Oh yeah, you're a creator.
Yeah, so the energies that I work with go up to like the 13th dimension. And we're kind of coming from the top down, where a lot of ufology is all focused on nuts and bolts and, creating a lot of fear and suspense. It's a controlled narrative, and it's entertainment, basically. And we're the real disclosure. We're where people make their own contact, have their own experience, and learn about who they are and why they're here.
That's so true. And this is something that you can't, somebody will say, oh, make me a believer. I said, well, if you have not experienced this for yourself, you're not going to have a clue. You're not going to understand this at all. The drive.
People say, I'll believe it when I see it. And I go, well, you see with your brain. Your brain chooses what you see. And that's neurophysics. I mean, that's been proven. So it works the other way around. If you need to keep an open mind, a loving heart, and pure intent, and raising frequencies, and you'll have a connection. They'll find you, basically. And that's the main focus.
So in your encounters with them, did they send you messages? Did you get any sort of, where some, you talk to some experiencers and they have, the visions, or they see into like what's going to happen. Other people have, what do you think it's done, and how has it changed you?
Well, I was kind of a redneck when it happened, so now I'm here. But anyway, total change. I transcended like all religions, all cultures, everything. I just went beyond that into unity consciousness. And I studied for years with lamas and yogis and elders of all nations to understand where their come from was. And, I realized that it's the bottom line. We all came from the same source, and we all go back to the same source. And we're not just a body and a personality. We're actually a soul, and that soul is multidimensional all the way back to the source and expanded states of awareness. And so that's what we teach people, how to get past your body and your personality, how to experience more of yourself and make your own personal connection with, we say, Creator, Great Spirit, God, whatever name you want to give it. But on that journey, contact is going to come. But we also have a saying, just because you're dead doesn't mean you're enlightened. And just because you're an ET doesn't mean you're benevolent. So we teach people how to shield up and how to heal unseen negative influences and keep their energies clear, which is really a must right now, because there are a lot of people that are doing the bidding of, some reptilians and serpent beings and Dracos and Greys, and they don't even know. They don't even know that's what they're working with, because they've had no training.
Right. The energy suckers. I said energy cannot be created, nor can it be destroyed, but they can suck it out of you. It can be transferred.
Yeah, they're very good at that. If you're having a lot of accidents and a lot of bad dreams and your health crises and things, usually there's other attachments going on that you want to get rid of.
So I see a lot of those negative, I guess, when you talk about it in paranormal. I grew up with paranormal and seeing spirits and things. But what do you think the line is? Like, and I tell people what you said is great, because just because it is, and they think too, like they've ascended past us, that doesn't mean they're all good. That doesn't mean they're all bad. But there is definitely a mix. And then you throw our government in the mix too. Yeah. And it's just, it's even more complicated.
Well, like ufology, unfortunately, is a controlled narrative. And most of it's entertainment. And disclosure is a 70-year failed experiment, because it's the same thing. They have some whistleblowers coming out, and then they have the same group gathering around them, and they make a big thing about it, and then it dies. And they do that over and over, and it's the same people behind it, and everybody gets excited, and then it dies. And the same thing with the how long can you tell 70-year-old stories about things that happened to you and stuff like that? It's just like, come on, it's happening now.
That's so true.
Yeah, contact's happening right now for those who have risen to the occasion. And all you got to do is walk outside on a dark moon and clear skies, and you're going to see a lot of ships up there right now. And that's what I just watched a video that we put together of just this July 4th weekend event. And there's fleets of ships in it, and they're all coming every different direction. There's motherships at treetop level coming in, double power-ups. It's insane. And, when people go, that's CGI and everything, and they tell me I created it. Apparently they don't know who I am, because I can't even, I had trouble even getting on the show. I'm not a computer person. But but the problem with all that, they can throw all that crap they want at us. It's still happening, and it's still ongoing. And anybody that comes up here will see it for themselves. And so they can't take that away. And literally thousands and thousands of people have come up here. And, we're talking triple PhD Boeing engineers, Lockheed Skunk Works people, Air Force base commanders, pilots. They've all testified. They've come up here and they said they're not ours. We don't know who they are, and they know what we have. They know about our Space Force and all the other. the secret space fleet and all the other stuff. And they said these things are, some of these things are landing, they're morphing into 3 or 4 and back to 1 again. They're massive. And they don't fly, they just jump. They fly so you can see them basically, but they don't have to. They're gone. Jets are chasing them, and it's funny watching it because we have constant black helicopters coming over here, and they're trying to catch them, and they're always being shadowed by UFOs all the time. So they're very. I always tell people, in the interest of national security, we need to start working with the benevolent ones, because they are so far beyond anything we can imagine. Their technology is like magic. And my whole focus is in the awakening and healing, planetary liberation, the awakening and healing of humanity, the earth, and they have the medbed technology that people talk about. They have, you think about all these kids in cancer wards and things like that, and you see them suffering, and it's needless. We already have it. It's already on the ground. We have the technology to take care of that. And you see all the, pollution going on. I've held objects in my hand, that as small as a pie plate that could generate enough energy for a town, so so we don't need fuel, we don't need tires, and we have all that technology, and now it's all getting out, it's being exposed now, and next step is actually implementing it.
Oh yeah, I talked to Jesse Marcel's been on the show a few times, and his granddad was involved with the original Roswell, and he's got patents for like flying cars and all that stuff. We know it's coming. There's no more denying it.
Well, they're already built. I know where they are, and they're already built, but I can't say right now. There's things I can't talk about because I tried to get some of this technology out back in the 90s, about 95 or so. And, we were threatened by everybody. We had labs blown up, and our lives were threatened, and we had to just put it on the shelf and wait, so but it is going to come, because the old guard's collapsing right now.
Yeah, no, when my cat ended up dead by my door, that was enough for me. Whether it be a coincidence or not, I had SIM cards go missing. I was outside, my phone exploded while I was looking at a document. I was like, at no end do they try and throw those wrenches in there. How have you stayed safe? Because you start talking free energy and you're putting a suicide stamp on it or something.
There's been a lot of divine intervention. I've had bullets whiz by my head, my brake lines cut. They take off your lug nuts. That's one they really like to do. And so your tire falls off and swerve into ongoing traffic. It's always the left front they take off. And, warnings like that and things like that. And I've had colonels call me and threaten me, and I just say, can you spell civilian? I'm not part of your program. And I had one colonel called me, and I told him, he said, why are you lying to people about all these UFOs and everything else? And I go, excuse me, you're a colonel? And he said, yeah. And I said, and you're out of the loop like this? And then he broke down. He goes, yeah, we just want to catch one, And I said, good luck. You're never going to catch one of these guys.
And that's what they need experiencers for. I've always heard, and I've always gone by the rule of 2 in every group. And it's so true. Then you'll see how all the projects or people you thought were going your direction sabotage it completely. Sabotage it. And I was like, man, how did I not see these coming? But they're good. And you just always have to anticipate that. Even though like a lot of people telling their stories, there's going to be like, you got to discern between, just because you're one way doesn't make you always right and the other way always wrong. Like you have to be able to call it that wrong when you see it, regardless. It doesn't matter. Wrong,
Well, there's a lot of different unseen negative influences that'll sabotage, and you won't even see it. And they'll turn your friends against you and family, and it's pretty crazy. Interfere in your relationships. They'll screw with your computers, and they have that ability, and I've seen all that, so we have to recognize that there is an element, and we need to learn how to stay on top of it. And it's really rough for people, especially people around me. Unfortunately, they really get hammered. And so I teach them all the tools, but you got to keep using them. to keep
That's
people.
so true. Yeah. And when you go on and people say, why do you do what you do? It's gotten so intense. I'd love to tell you some of the personal stuff, but I'm currently had to move out of my location. And I had to, it got so bad that I was labeled a conspiracy theorist by local law enforcement. And I was like, if people don't see that this is happening and that this is going on, I'm telling you it is. I have evidence of it, and they're relentless on it. So what's kept you, like I said, I mean, you've been doing this for almost 40 years, or you have 40, I mean, you've got a lot of years under your belt as an experiencer.
I started at age 2. No, I'm just kidding. But, I've been around for a bit, but
well, that's amazing though. I mean, that shows how long you can't do this for 20 something or 40 something years or 40 years unless, it's part of your life.
Yeah, people ask me sometimes, they go, I'll talk about the ships coming here and the information they're giving us and stuff. And they go, well, have you run this by like David Wilcox or Greer? And I said, they're like newbies to me. It's like, we've been here for a long time. And even years before that, I was teaching classes and self-mastery classes and things like that and having contact. But so we've been doing this a very long time. And the problem is, that we have the evidence, we have mountains of tapes and videos and testimony. And so it's, they can't deny what's going on here, but they do everything they can. I've been censored out of all the major conferences. And, what happened was I started getting censored off all the radio shows and everything else, even though I was on Art Bell and all these other shows. Little by little, all of a sudden I was pushed out. And so what was funny is that, okay, I'll start my own radio show. And so I did with the BBS network, As You Wish Talk Radio. And I brought in teachers and healers and scientists and everybody, all walks of life in it. We do the same thing here. Then I got pushed out of the conferences and I said, okay, well, I'll build my own conference building,
You're
and
right.
So we had these huge conferences here with the top people in the field, and so everything they've tried to do, I just went around it. I did an end run around it. I go, I'm not going to let this stop me. And so we have kind of held back a little bit right now because we're in some really crazy times. Right. And we're waiting for this flip to happen. It's getting really close. And I think the snowball's been pushed over the hill and it's moving. It's moving very fast. And
right.
The old guard is collapsing, and I can explain to you what's going on if you want. It's
absolutely.
So basically what's going on, and this might lose some people, but it's biblical, it's but not way outside the box. But the source itself, whatever name you want to give it, creator, God, great spirit itself, is connected through the suns, and all the suns are connected. And our sun is connected to that too. And the order has been given. We're going to the next level. We're ascending. And so the suns have just been bombarding us right now. And all this other energy is coming in from other sources. NASA knows about it. They don't know what it is or what's happening. But solar energy is consciousness comes with the light. And in that consciousness is universal law. And so we have to rise to the occasion and start acting according to universal law, which is basically universal peace and brother, sisterly love and individual freedom and prosperity for everybody. It's unity consciousness. And that is pressing in. The earth is ascending as well. And so the higher dimensions are pressing in and the earth is ascending. And we're all caught in the middle, plus the 4D, the lower 4D, where all the crazy stuff is, the reptilians and grays and demonic energies and all that. That's all being cleaned up right now. And the veils are getting thinner. And so there's a lot of chaos right now, but it's not a bad thing. Everything is being revealed. So everything is being revealed. Everything is being amplified right now. There's a science to it. Our bioelectric fields are just getting hammered right now with higher consciousness and energy. And we have to release the past. We have to do our shadow work, and we have to clean up all these lower frequencies so we can get on, and so there's two paths people are taking. One, if you live a spiritual life in harmony with each other, nature, in service to humanity and the earth, that is the upward spiral. And the downward spiral is the separation, the greed, the division, the anger, all that other crap. People expressing all their unhealed wounds and traumas, and not going within and healing them from within. That's the downward spiral, and it's collapsing fast. So the controllers are on the downward spiral, and the people that want to are in service to others, and that's on the upward spiral. So we're seeing a bifurcation of worlds, a split happening, and it's going to get intense. And now, right now, the sun is getting ready to just slam us again with a lot of X-class and CMEs, and it's got these magnetic bombs NASA's talking about now that's aiming at us right now. And so we just went through a time fold, which just sounds outrageous, but the higher dimensional beings are folding time so we can get past some of these events. We went through a time fold and a full moon and at the same time, and that happened Thursday. And so,
oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, you notice anybody who says,
right?
And you just have to surrender and lay down. Okay, I give up. You can't. And I knew it was happening and everything, but I decided to drive into town and get some paint and things. And I got run off the road. I saw 3 people go through stop signs, people like zombies walking around, like nobody home. It was like, I go, wow, the muggles are not dealing well with this energy that's coming in.
No, it's short-circuiting society. Some people are short-circuiting, legitimately short-circuiting here. I'm like, how much more of this can people, I mean, the intensity of it, I'm just, I haven't been playing this game for years, and I mean, not once, but some people have, and they're just recently waking up, and it's like, it keeps, I'm thinking how, and then too, what's your take on Project Bluebeam and how we're going to be able to tell the difference between an authentic contact and our, the new technology that we have floating all around us we don't realize yet?
Yeah, a lot of it's, it's about self-mastery and inner sensitivity, and you can sense who's on that plane, or if there actually is a conscious being there, or it's just a mirage or whatever, their blue beam hologram or whatever. And so the more you develop your inner sensitivity, like you can see Jesus appear in the air, and they can create that if they wanted to, but you won't feel anything, and we need to go to the heart, and you can remote view, or there's a thing called, direct knowing, and you can be able to sense what's going on. And we have to develop those abilities, because we're going to see a lot of things that aren't what we think they are. And a lot of the masks are going to come down here really soon, and we're going to see some things that are going to really turn our cards upside down.
Oh yeah, because I think it's somebody who hasn't had any experience with this. How are they going to react to all of this? At first I was like, we just got to rip these band-aids off, but I've seen some extreme reactions to a lot less in this world, and it seems like everybody's really getting to this agitated point. And so do you think that's there to block ascension? Because more of us that wake up, you can't turn back once you wake up.
I like that saying, resistance is futile, because you can't stop this. This is so big what's coming. No matter what they do, they can't stop this. And everything they do against universal law is going to be amplified and accelerated. So their karma is going to come home to roost even faster. And there's no way of getting around this. There's and I always tell people, like, don't blame me. I'm just the messenger. But I've seen what's behind this. And no man or woman can stop what's coming. It's massive.
It's already in motion. The wheels are already
don't sweat the small stuff. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff we're going to see, and we have to pull back and get centered and practice loving detachment and not get involved with all the craziness, because people are going to lose it, and they're going to react and blame, and you're going to look at them and go, what are you talking about? What? I have no idea what you're talking about, but really they're projecting their traumas
Yes.
on you, and
So true. So true. Yeah, because I know in this, even I can't even imagine the amount you get, but I said the amount of hate mail that I get is so astronomical that you say something and then it's like that. You got to think of that. That's somebody's programming. They're responding that way because they're short circuiting. It's like throwing, AI in a loop. Like they can't handle it because that's their programming and they haven't woken up from that yet. Once you wake up from it,
with a lot of people that come, and I've had actually ministers come up here and priests and things like that, and they end up quitting. They end up
right.
They're at a point where they go, you can't capsulize
it.
God in a book. You can't do it. And even Jesus said, I speak of a living God. And so, you'll go crazy eventually. And all of a sudden you have to open up and realize that what's happening here is so much bigger than no religion can hold it. No culture can hold it. They have parts of it. But when the big picture comes down, we're going to find out almost everything we've been taught about our history, about the origin of religions. I even wrote a book about it, UFOs and the origin of religions and our real history. And we're going to find out that there was a lot of the little g gods running around, a long time ago, that some wreaked havoc and some were beneficial. And that's where we got our images of the bearded gods. They call them the Anunnaki, but there's the absolute, which is beyond all that. And that's where we have to get to. Stop following the external gods of old and make your internal connection, to the one consciousness that encompasses all consciousness on all planes. But when you expand out and you start expanding out into that, you realize you're not a body and a personality, that you're a multidimensional being, you're a forever soul, and you've been all over the galaxy. But it's hard to access that unless you've had like a near-death experience or something. They can initiate you and do that, but they can't trespass, our intention has to set that into motion.
Oh, that's so true. Because you think, I'm like, it used to be where you would think about something and whether you realize this or not, when you don't clear that negativity out and just in your head, because as James said, he made so many good points. And too, like Alan Watts said, you got to be a passenger in a moving train. You can't take this world too seriously and this human experience too seriously. You won't make it out. You won't.
I always tell people, I said, I can go up to the 13th dimension and I can go to the worst humor you've ever heard, and because I realized without humor, you can't make it.
Oh, I know. I can find a joke in anything. And it could be the most catastrophic, and I'll have a joke. Yeah.
And I really help people master their judgment, I'll see the big red button and I'll push it, and just to help people master judgment, because it's not about wearing robes and wearing sandals and eating goji berries and turn your body into a pretzel, and
sit there for months at a time.
Learning Sanskrit. I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, but it's so far beyond that. It's like, I'll tell you a really bad joke we played on ourselves is even in the Bible, it says God is omnipresent. And Jesus said, where's God? And he said, closer than the hair on your head. And the temple is within. He talked about an internal God the whole time. And if we sit on omnipresence and meditate on it, all of a sudden you realize you and everything that you're seeing and feeling and observing and everything is God. Nothing is not. If God's omnipresent, if the Creator's omnipresent within all creation, then and people go, well, what about evil? And I said, well, evil's a choice. It's like people, like, I tell people Star Wars is like a documentary, and there's a good force, there's an evil force, and people choose which they serve, which they want to allow work through them. And we're allowed to do that, but one has consequences. If you choose the dark force, you're going to have some pretty dark experiences. And if you want to control and dominate others, you're going to attract to you controlling and dominating entities, and they will take you over, so
Yes.
it's a no-win situation. So people want to be famous. They want to make a lot of money and do all this stuff. And they start working with these darker energies, and you may get that, but you're going to lose your soul in the process. They will eventually own you. And
That's bartering. Once you give up that piece of yourself, that's just you're leaving yourself open. You really are.
Exactly. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people, their come from is off. Their come from is, I want to be famous. I want to get love and acceptance and approval externally outside of myself. I want to make a lot of money and things like that. And they're willing to do whatever. And those are the people at the top of the food chain right now. Those in ufology and spirituality and everything, those are the guys that have the podium. They're at the top of the food chain. And until we realize that, and look at their behavior behind the scenes, off the stage, and what they're doing off stage, and you're going to be shocked.
Yeah. Oh, isn't it so disappointing? Well, I guess, you are one of the true ones that, there's very few that you're like, man, they are as authentic and genuine, and you just connect. Experiencers can connect that. But it just floors me sometimes when I find out the truth behind the top players, the ones that are deciding, the ones that are in the spot. They're not the ones that are really out there. They're the ones that are planted out there. And I can't say that enough. Yeah. If you're instantly, then I'm going to question that,
And two, a lot of those guys have been here. They know what's happening here. They've seen the ships and everything, and they go into full-blown denial.
Yeah.
And if people don't think that ufology is a controlled narrative and it's all about entertainment, a classic example is we've been making contact here for 40 years. We have all the evidence. We have all the information. We know who they are, their cultures, their agendas, everything. Why is this not being covered? Why is this being censored by all the major conferences and all the entertainment, UFO, alien, whatever thing, totally censored? And another good example, Ancient Aliens came out here, and they filmed Peter Slatter, myself, and John Vivancourt, remote viewer, and everything was validated. But at the end of the show, all you see is my hand grabbing the camera. I'm totally censored out of the whole show, and I gave them everything. I told them who they are, why they're here, the different groups that are here, everything, and I got totally censored out of it. So from then on, I go, okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm doing my own thing. I'm not going to even try to work within this community. And there are a few people that are authentic that I will work with and go on their shows and things like that. And I'll have people come up here that I know are authentic, but we're not all perfect. We're not going to get it all right because we're being bombarded by all this other stuff. But if your come from is right, you're okay. You're going to make mistakes, but
right. But that's with anything, because this is a human experience, and you can't, judge how you got here because that was the path that you took, and it was all planned before you. It's not. Yeah. And if you don't take one turn, it's like that loop back around. I don't know how many times I got smacked in the face, like on the way there, but it's a part of it. There's been times where it's like I said, earlier on in this journey, some of the things that I thought to be true, and some of the, it's you grow with each year that you come in contact. In talking about that, I know that I had a grandmother and a brother who were also in tune and experiencers too. Do you have anybody else in your family? Because you were a childhood experiencer, and people need to realize there's a big difference between those of us who were taken like much later, and the childhood experiencers. I found out. I mean, they've lived this their entire lives.
Yeah, my dad was he was like a walking Buddha. He was just a beautiful being. And he was a very good example for me to grow up with. And my mom was kind of materialistic, and she wanted me to get a job with the government and get a haircut and a suitcase and, all that stuff. That was her program. And it's okay. She taught me what I don't want. She was
so true. Yeah.
I had a couple grandmothers that were just sharp as tacks. And my one grandmother's Native American on my mom's side. And she, when I was a little kid, she was handing me books about UFOs and things like that to read. And she goes, I don't know why, but you're supposed to read this, and she was just very loving, and very, And, if you go to all the Native American cultures, they know who they are. They know why they're here. They're our ancestors. And they all point at the Pleiades and say that we came from the Pleiades, or we went down to the inner earth. And after the cataclysms, we came back up again. They call them the ant people. But, ant people in their tongue, is Anu is ant and Naki is friends. So ant friends saved us, right? The Anunnaki, when you translate it, it translates into Anunnaki. So it's really interesting. But a lot of the Anunnaki, whatever you want to call them, most of them came from Lyra, ancient Lyra, and that's the root race. And then they went to the Pleiades, the Orion system, and the oh God, what's that one? It'll come back to me, but they went to 3 systems before they came to Earth and Mars and Maldek, which is blown up now and it's part of our asteroid belt. But the Anunnaki are actually the ancient Lyrians. They're the little g gods that colonized the Earth, and then we went through several cataclysms, great wars like pole shifts and cataclysms that we all had to start over as primitives. But a lot of people are saying that they created us. They're the ones that created us, but there was a human developing naturally on the Earth. They did tinker with our genetics. They did upgrade and did some other stuff, but they didn't really create us. And one of the problems with it is when they started upgrading the humans and added their DNA, the humans were surpassing them. And because the humans were very service oriented, they're in awe, they're subjective, they're open, so they were receiving more information, more energy.
Oh, they weren't blocked then.
Yeah, and they weren't blocked. And so Enlil on one side decided, okay, this experiment has to end, and then boom, the great floods, but there was Enki and Enlil. Enki was the geneticist, and he wanted everything to keep going, and he loved his work and what he was doing, and Enlil wanted to end the experiment and get rid of all of us, but that you'll find that in the records. Basically, they're finding these ancient cuneiform tablets, and AI is deciphering them, and they're telling the real history of Earth, and much to the chagrin of some religions get really upset about that. But it's it's happening though. I mean, how you can't put your head in the sand. Our history doesn't go back 6,000 years. It goes back 600 million years, where there were advanced people here. They have caves in Brazil 300 million years old that are glass lined. Okay, who did that? They're still digging up temples. They're digging up ancient temples, Göbekli temples, one, and they're finding some very interesting finds there that are showing that they had a really high degree of math and geometry and the astronomy. They knew where all the planets were and everything. So these weren't guys with rocks, and a chisel cutting little blocks,
Right.
They've never figured out. They talk about the teachings of Thoth and all that, the ancient stuff. Back then, the kings reigned for like 30,000 years. Yeah. So who are these?
We shortened our own, with all the food we've eaten. I mean, you got to think of all the stuff that we're being poisoned
30,000 years they reigned for these guys. And a lot of them were hybrids, or they were the original beings. And they're big. I mean, they're very tall beings. And so and that's all coming out now too. So I'm not trying to undermine, the Bible has part of our history in it.
Mm-hmm. It's part man-made. I mean, you got to expect this. Yeah. Yes.
It was written by men, and written by they say every history is written by the victor, and it's his story, men. Yeah. And what about the other guys that lost? They just kind of disappear, and they were demonized, and most of them were just indigenous people that were in the way.
It's a black and white, that binary thinking, and we're not. We've expanded to definitely like a different. I've even noticed the algorithms are different. They're not the 0, 1, 2. None of that sequencing. So you got to think when that's happening, that's us we're programming AI to say. I mean, I don't know how much people need to know here, but the government holds technology 40 to 50 years before we get our hands on it. I mean, if that tells you anything. Yes, they know what's coming.
They have some technology that's millions of years old, but
Mhm.
they don't know they don't know what it is or how it works, but
Oh,
I know
yeah, definitely, for sure, they do.
I know
Oh,
scientists that have figured out some of this technology and the engines and how they work, and they go, "Oh, sorry, I can't figure it out," because they go, "Nobody should have this. We're not
yeah.
ready for this kind of technology," and it's conscious interface technology. It's not nuts and bolts. It's conscious.
No, yeah. And you don't realize too, people would talk about like holding a crystal. And when the more I got to understand it and the telekinesis, like you're the one that's in control of this energy when you realize. And too, when he's talking about like, Christ consciousness and things like that, think of it like your electrical system and plugging things in. I might be the stove, we might have a microwave, but we're all plugged into the same source.
Yeah.
There's, I just think some people, like you said before, there are ETs or the HETs, humanoid extraterrestrials living among us, and they are in different forms and they are here. So how you've had a phenomenal contact with, and I can only say that there's been 3 different kinds that I can consciously remember that I've encountered. How many, and what's that like? 'Cause there's an emotional part of this.
Yeah. Well, I really like working with the ones that are benevolent, they're spiritually and technologically advanced, and have emotions and things like that. There are some that just don't have emotions, and they're just, you tell a joke and they won't get it.
I know.
Like, and
We would label them serial killers as humans,
yeah,
yes.
box, But there's a lot even a lot of the grays don't have emotions. They're the tall grays are nasty. They can project consciousness and take you over and immobilize you and do that stuff. Most of the little grays are just biological robots running around. And they said there's 57 shades of that, happening. And then you've got, the bugs, you got the mantises and all the ant people and all the other stories about them. But we work mainly with the Pleiadians, are the main go-to, and they're our ancestors. They started Atlantis and Lemuria, and their ancestors are the ancient Lyrans from Lyra, or Lyrians. Some people say Lyrans, Lyrians, but and we work with those groups, and we work just with the benevolent ones, and we've learned how to move out the negative ones and call on the higher beings if we have a problem, and which has been a lot of problems lately. We've been on overload clearing out these energies, that are happening right now. But we teach people to do it themselves.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Give them those skills, those traits. So
Exactly.
when you're talking about clearing energies, like that sounds a lot of paranormal to me too. Because I know that these lines and people are like, well, maybe the paranormal is the normal, and people, I just remember talking about it when I was a kid, and you would think that, and full-fledged exorcism needed to happen. Like, and then it's, slowly over time, you see how people's perspective changes. But what, I guess, is your take on everything? Where do those lines merge? Because there's so much of the paranormal. Anybody who's experienced ET has come in contact with the paranormal. And you have taken your picture. I've had one too. It's amazing, with so many orbs. And I will be releasing the files. He told me it was okay to do today. I was like, maybe I'll just put your name on. And he's like, nope, really, so this is like awesome. So we got all of that. Just please be looking for that, because it's going to be amazing.
We have a new clip that we're working on right now, actually, and I saw it, and I was blown away at what was captured there. And there's pictures of me like phasing out. At the International UFO Congress, I turned into a light being on stage, and all you see is the mic, and they never asked me back again after that. But there's but
isn't that so true?
It's not that hard to jump dimensions. People think it takes thousands of years of meditation and things. It's not that big a deal. But it's really what I tell people. There's universal law, okay, and so it's basically, I said before, universal peace, brother, sisterly love, individual freedom, and prosperity for everybody. Whenever you step out of that, you create karma. And if beings are trying to get you to step out of that, change channels, get away from them, and if they tell you you're special and you're the chosen one, turn the channel.
Yeah, run.
I mean, everybody, the more you get into oneness and the more you merge with the one consciousness and you're part of the unified field, everything is God, and so there's no special, like everybody's special. There's people in the UFO community, they're really pushing depopulation programs and things like that. And I go, well, if you really believe in that, you first.
Right.
Yeah,
Why are you trying to take me out? Let's take lead
no,
the way.
I'm special. I'm too important. I go, no,
Oh yeah, I know.
no
Or
more
part of the
important than anything else.
140 for whatever club. Like they think that they're just,
Yeah,
these
and
isolated, segregated beings.
I would. These guys think they're so educated and special. I would just take a simple person over them.
Me too.
They have a higher frequency than they do, so.
Oh yeah, and you can tell that. I mean, it's all motive driven. It's not. I always ask people, how did you get into this? Like, how did you? I want to find out what their motives are behind it, because the people who are seeking the truth are going to be the ones that have experienced the phenomena and understand it inside and out because they lived it.
Yeah, I like that Denzel Washington said something. He goes, I'm sorry for pissing off your demons. And that's kind of what happens when I come in contact with these people. They just start coming unglued.
Oh God!
And I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is just be present, and I just watch them come unglued. But the unfortunate right now with this energy coming in, the closer you are, the more energy you're working with, and the more light you're emitting, and things like that. You become a mirror, and you also become an amplifier. And so you're going to mirror and amplify what people love and don't love about themselves and their unfinished business and things like that. So, and there's an old saying that Christ has no place to lay his head, and not to be biblical, but what they're saying is the more enlightened you become, the harder it is for you to be, especially in social consciousness and with people. And you spend a lot more time in nature and things like that. But people have to realize right now we're all being energized. Our bioelectric fields are just amping up. And the higher we go up, we have to realize we're going to lose friends and family and things like that because we can't play that game anymore. We can't be manipulated anymore. We can't, And
everybody's on the line, and that's where it comes to detaching a little bit. People say, oh, and I'm like, no, this is a good thing, because when you stop participating, I have to remind myself sometimes, like, I'm participating in the human part of this. Like, I'm getting wrapped up in all this drama and everything, and I got to take a step back, because I'm like, that's not, and you have to cut ties with people. You have to do it.
You have to become the observer, and then even observe yourself, because you'll get caught in it, and all of a sudden you're back and go, whoa, it got me, and then pull out. And you're going to get tricked. You're going to get pulled into things. And people who have a lot of empathy and want to help others and service oriented, they get sucked into this stuff all the time. And they get sucked into other people's dramas and narcissist programs and things like that. And then it's really hard for them a lot of times to, a good example is Pleiadians. A lot of Pleiadians they're all about love and joy and bliss. And they don't understand that people that actually lie to them or steal from them or harm them or take advantage, it's not part of the reality. Yeah. It's not just part of the reality. So when they incarnate here, they get their butts handed to them, basically. And it's boot camp. So if you get people from the Orion system that are coming in with the Orion Council of Light, and those people, they went through the wars. They went through the Orion Wars. They know what evil is. They know the dark side and the dark side in people. And they're more street smart, you might say. They're earth savvy. And they do pretty well down here. They do much better, like than Pleiadians that incarnated. And so it's like it's big school going on. And I see that all the time. I'll look at somebody and I can see that they're in Pleiadian mainly in their soul. They're Pleiadian. They incarnate here. And I go, you've had it rough, haven't you? And they go, yeah. And I said, there are people out here that will lie and steal and harm you and take advantage of you. And they go, yeah, I'm figuring that out, And it's hard. It's hard for them because we project our morals and values on others.
Yeah.
And sometimes they just don't have them. They're not on the same page. And then we get caught,
I said that's the worst thing you can do is assume other people think like you, because that's not the way it works. They assume you think like them.
Exactly. Yeah, that will get you into trouble every time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And we're coming up on the top hour break, so we're just going to take a little breather here for 5 minutes. If you could just hang tight, we're just cutting this to the radio side. So yes, and I just want to pick up where we left off. It's absolutely, I just enjoy this conversation so much. So I'm going to go ahead and put you behind stage so you can take a break and do whatever you need to. But again, thank you everybody so much for tuning in tonight. We got James Gilliland with us, and he's got so much to share and teach us all, as experiencers. So this is absolutely an honor and a privilege. So we will be back shortly.
Unraveling the mystery, secrets in the night. We travel through the cosmos, ready for the flight. Together we'll shine, casting shadows aside, in the heart of the rhythm where our dreams collide.
Join the Subnation, next quest, the truth is our guide. In the vast expanse, it's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the grooves around us, everything's alright.
From the Subnation, next quest, the truth is our guide. In the vast expanse, it's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the grooves around us, everything's alright. SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bring shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Heavy bass drops with tight beats.
Illuminate the shadows, the echo of our call.
On this roller ring will never fall.
Feel the energy rising, can you sense the spark? As we dive deeper into the cosmic arc.
Stories of the universe, mysteries unfold. In the heart of SNX, where the truth is gold. Every note we play, every line we write, crafting our legacy, shining ever bright.
SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spot. Here in the spotlight, we're taking our turn. With the fire in our hearts, let the passion burn. SNX Radio's call, ringing through the air. Together we rise, together we dare.
So join us now, let the rhythm flow. With SNX Radio, we're ready to go. Unraveling the mystery side by side, we stand hand in hand. In this dance of truth, let the story expand. Where the stars and secrets flow. Subnation X radios glow. In the night we'll ride the show into the unknown, unknown. Where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, own. Yeah. Come with us and let it go, go. Night sky whispers in the dark. Secret trails will leave a mark. Follow close, ignite that spark. We're on a ride, it's just the start. Into the unknown, unknown. starlit sky. ET whispers, look up, don't be shy. Paranormal tales woven into fate as Coley invites us to contemplate. When shadows align, experiences unfold one of a kind. Off-world encounters, truths they must find. Open your heart, release your mind. Take the leap, step into the light. With SNX Radio we will ignite a symphony of strange where the bass drops low. Journeying deep where the unknown flows. Secrets kept from our human plight. Colleen's conversations stir the thread. An awakening call for the living and the dead. Take the leap, step into the night. With SNX Radio we will.
And thank you all for staying in and hanging tight with us. We are back from our break. And just to kind of give you a little bit of background here, we have a absolutely amazing guest tonight. He's going to talk. He's an experiencer himself. He's experienced since a child. He's got a mound of evidence and continues to go out into C5 type contacts and is making some real big headway. So without further ado, welcome back. And so tell people who, I guess, you know, they always say the biggest problem is we don't reach the mainstream. And I just really find it's a hard time, you know, really communicating with them and even speaking the same language. But you do a lot of awakening work, which is so important. And where would you suggest people like begin? You know, that I mean, someone who are just waking up, and how are they going to stay sane so we don't all, you know,
Yeah, we've had ABC come out here, Fox News, Sean Hannity came out here. I can go on and on. There's so many people that have come out here, and then they just they squashed it. And when I was in Australia, I was on their forum of Australia, Good Morning Australia, and things like that. But I dropped some major truth bombs on there, and so they got out there, and then they squashed it, you know. But
or are they coming with pitchforks and torches?
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably
I don't really. Sometimes I wonder. I mean, this maybe is not for everyone, and just allow people their experiences, and you know, when they're ready, you know, they're going to see it. But I think there's a fail-safe mechanism in the soul, and it's being activated right now. And all of a sudden, I've seen people that I thought were never going to get it are starting to ask questions, and they're telling me stuff and trying to educate me. And I go, yeah, I talked about that 40 years ago. And it's kind of funny watching it happen, but people on a crash course of enlightenment right now, and they're doing their own research, and they're finding out, you know, not everything they've been told was true, and they're starting that they have to go within. They can't trust external sources anymore for information. And one thing too, I wanted to say a little bit about C5 things. When you go out there, there's some people in the ufology that say, open up to anything, you know, don't be a spiritual snob. Just let anything come into your body and contact anything. And that's really dangerous.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, that's
cleaning people up. People are coming to us, and they've got hitchhikers, they got entities, and they're trying to get them off, and they're having all kinds of problems because there are people in ufology that are just opening up to anything and letting anything come in. And you know, it's just very dangerous to put things out there like that, you know. And I mean, there are masters, you know, Jesus, Babaji, there's Buddha, there's all these other masters, Kuan Yin, Mary, you know, that you can call on for help, you know, creator, God, great spirit. But there needs to be a spiritual component to this. And we need to learn how to heal unseen negative influences and keep our energies and have a foundation. So we can go, oh, that's not right. This doesn't work for me. I'm sorry, you know, and be able to see through the grandstanding, you know, and the see me, dig me programs that are going on. Because there's a lot of that going on, you know, and a lot of crazy haired people on stage, you know.
Man, this is right up in your face. They don't even try and hide it anymore.
Oh, no. And, you know, I know all these people too. I know who they really are, you know, off stage. And some of it's pretty scary if you really know.
It's very dark. There's always a dark side to this.
I mean, there's some benevolent, tapped in people. You know, I know some wonderful people in the field of ufology, but they're like, I can probably count them on two hands, you know.
I know.
Are really bringing out, you know, they have really high integrity. They have impeccable integrity. They're bringing out the truth. We have Peter Slider in Australia that has ECETI Australian. You got to get him on the show because he has got the most incredible footage, like metallic ships, beings appearing to him, everything. And he's really censored throughout the UFO. I've never seen anything like it. I go, this guy is top in the field with the information he's bringing through and the real history of Earth and the different dimensions and the levels and the evidence he has. And for some reason, he's been looked over on a major schedule.
We know why. That's what happened. Yeah. That's what happens to everybody. You have to fight to get up there. Yes. And all
the posers and the shills and all the other people hate him, you know, because he's authentic. But same thing, like Mary Rodwell.
She's coming up on the show soon. Mary is.
Oh, nice. Yeah, give her a big hug for me. I love Mary.
I will. I'll tell her that.
She's been here. She's been to the ranch and she's seen everything going on. And I mean, there are some people that are doing some really good work out there, but a lot of them get over their skis.
Yeah.
You know, they get too far ahead. Like talking about this right now, my ears are ringing like crazy.
I know. I'm thinking, man, there's consequences for this, people. You don't understand the consequences till you've walked through this. And it's so much on the line where so many of us have put our stake, our livelihoods like on this because it's so important. It's at your core. And when you feel that and people are responding, like you said, the way they do, you can't, they're not the ones, you know, they're not the ones because that's their programming and they're not awake. It's just, you know, part of this. Do you ever feel like some of the people though aren't players at all? They're kind of just like, you know, they're like the soulless, the wander, the people you can't, you know, even have a structured conversation with.
What do they call them? NPCs or something? What's the name for them? There's a new non-specific.
Oh, is there a new oh Lord. I guess we got something for that. I'm not sure. I've always there's been a few times where I've stopped in my tracks and I was like, that's not that thing does not have a soul. You know, it's just like, you know, the blank, like, yeah. Mm-mm.
I've seen a lot of that, you know, and you look at people that are, you know, some of the gang members and stuff, you look at them and you see their auras are dark and they have people they've killed that are attached to them.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at that and you go, whoa, you know, left turn, Clyde. You want to avoid, you know, people like that. And people don't realize that when you reach a certain level, you can see who they are. And the thing about these high dimensional beings, they know everything about you before you even walk up to them.
Oh yeah.
I saw you had a Bigfoot thing on your thing. We have a lot of Bigfoot up here. There's I've got photographs of footprints that are like size 36 footprints here. But we actually, when they come through, we put peanut butter up on the poles.
Oh,
and
is
they
that how
take
you
the
learn?
lid off, and they eat the peanut butter and put the lid back on and set it back on the pole. So
They let you know.
Nothing can do that. No animal can do that. Not even a raccoon. They might get the lid off, but that's it. But you know, they come through here all the time, and they, especially during the season when all of our fruit's coming in, because we have a lot of apple trees and things like that here. But they, it's this place. The veils are very thin here. And there's actually a photograph. The government knows about this. They call it the purple zone. because the magnetic energies are so different here, and the veils are very thin here, and everything is happening here. People are getting photographs of like fairies and gnomes and Bigfoots cruising through, but it's all benevolent because we do a lot of work here anchoring in the benevolent energies, and so it's a very protected place. But
that's true.
I had a psychologist here have a fairy fly right up to her face and then leave, and it turned her upside down in her mind, and she's freaking out. She's going, I medicate people when this happens, and I tell them it's an illusion and everything. She goes, what am I going to do now? Stop medicating them and start listening to them, because
so true.
They're real. True. I mean, they are real. And I'm a show me kind of person. I want to see it myself before I talk about it. And I've seen a lot of stuff that people think are myths or that aren't real,
Oh, it's so true. And I didn't realize the extensive repercussions for stuff like this until I got further into, because I thought I don't care if they call you. No, they legitimately can do way more than that. And your privileges and things as, a human in this human experience will be revoked in some way or messed with in some way. I'm telling you, there's repercussions. So when you say that, you put yourself out there. I mean, you risk everything for this.
Well, a lot of people say, I don't believe in Bigfoot. And I said, it doesn't matter. What if they don't believe in you? Do you still exist? It's like, but they are, you're not going to find, if you go looking for Bigfoot, you're not going to find it, but if Bigfoot wants to find you, it will. And that's the Native Americans talk about that, but they're extremely sensitive. They know everything about you before you even show up. And they're very evolved in nature. They're going to know you're coming into the forest way ahead before you.
I was just going to say that they're going to know you're coming before you know you're going.
They're going to know you're coming, and they're going to know your intent. Both. And if you go up there with bad intentions, might have a bad experience. If you go up there with love and you bring offerings and you meditate and play a flute out there, so they're going to come up and check you out. They're curious, but they'll sense your energy. I mistakenly, I do a lot of work in the forest. I'm out in the forest a lot. And I walked into a territory where there's a big male, Bigfoot there. And he made it very clear, we do not want you here, and I apologized, and I said, sorry. And I went up and got some apples, and I went back and I set them down and I said, sorry, and walked away, and I was cool after that. I could go in there and they didn't care. But
they probably wanted to make sure and read you and make sure before they let one of us in, so we don't.
But he was stomping and breaking branches and everything. It was pretty intense. And I said, okay, I'm out of here. Sorry.
Come back. Yeah. My brother and I were sitting out there, and it was such an eerie feeling because he threw this big stone in. I was like, we got to go now, because if you just toss that rock in here, then there's going to be a boulder coming back at us. Let's get out of here. Yeah.
They can. I mean, they have these big chokers that they run these cables through, and there's huge, and they weigh a lot. And these guys pick these things up, and 50-gallon barrels of diesel, and threw them, smashed a cabin in, because these guys were logging in their territory.
Right.
And so a lot of that's happening up here, and everybody knows they're real up here. I mean, especially all the hunters up here, they've had experiences, but they startle me a little bit. They startle compared to ET. They startle me a little bit. Drew Banke, he's on there. He does, I guess I was gonna get your take on like the Native American medicine, like the Bufo and the Cambo ceremonies. But he asked if you've heard of you know what? I'm gonna slaughter. Oh yeah.
Okay. He's wondering if you've heard of the ceremony.
Yes. Yeah. We've done a lot of ceremonies here. We do a lot of sweat lodges, and we've had, chiefs of a lot of different nations who used to come here. Golden Light Eagle used to come here a lot. People knew who he was. And he used to be, what was it? He was aligned with, I spent time with Black Elk, and he wrote a book, Black Elk Speaks, and all that stuff. And that those guys used to come up here and do ceremony, and I'd joke around a lot with them, in the lodge. I probably won't even tell you some of the stuff, but it's pretty.
The good stuff you're leaving out. Yeah.
See if you're going to give away your power. But I used to speak at their conferences and things like that. But it's kind of like we've had lamas and yogis here. I was initiated into the Lamic tradition and yogic tradition both. But, I realize it's same. It's just like, they teach tools and techniques to reach higher levels of consciousness, and they have signposts along the way and deities that represent aspects of Creator. And it's pretty much all the same, basically. And when you're done at the end, you realize, wow, I was never separate at all. I forgot. I forgot God was omnipresent and all around me, and I am it at the same time. And it really messes with your head. And you go through an identity crisis, and then
yeah, it's so. And I was going to tell you, Drew, he administers the medicine too. He does ceremonies. He said, so he said that oh gosh, Drew, the Sundance. He's done the Sundance a few times, and I've heard. Oh boy, I said, man, to live through that. I mean, you always have a reminder of what's going on. But what's your take on all of that? Like the Bufo and the Cambo killer.
I'm probably going to get myself in trouble here. And I've actually talked to some of the elders about it. And one thing is, during the lodge ceremony, they have different rounds. And one round is welcoming in all your ancestors. Well, some of the ancestors are pissed off, and they've been really messed up. I mean, they've been killed horrendously. And some of the relatives of the people doing the sweat lodge would show up, and then they see this guy sitting in the lodge that looks kind of like Custer, and
oh boy.
And I've gotten beaten down by some of these entities. And so I was talking to him. I said, hey, I go, can we, like, in the first round, can we bring in the enlightened ancestors, like, Buffalo Cattleman, Rolling Thunder, White Eagle, things like that, and then ask if any other ancestors need healing, need help right now. Clear the space first, and then go to the next rounds. And I said, I don't want to be the one to tell you this. I said I'm probably the last one to be saying something like this, but I just got my ass handed to me in this sweat lodge. And I got off of me finally and cleared it out. And I called on the higher beings to come in and help out. And they did. But there's some things in all traditions that we need to kind of alter a little bit, make a little changes. And a lot of people get really upset with that, making changes. But I don't really think there's many ways to experiencing Creator, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes through suffering, people have a huge event that happens to them, and all of a sudden they have a come to Jesus or God moment, near-death experiences. And it's almost like having a near-death experience being a sun dancer. But
from when he talked about, that's intense.
Yeah, but I was talking to we had some things up here happen where the tree came up out of the ground and killed the elder that was doing the ceremony.
Wow.
And some other things happened like that. And I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but I think we're kind of evolving out of, there's other ways of making your own personal God connection.
But everything you're reminding me of the booth, like, and I'll say that I've been to a ceremony before, and I crawled on my hands and knees to make it out alive. And it's intense. I mean, you have to, and then they said, if it were that easy, everybody would do it. And that's true. And the Native Americans get that. And you have both components, the Native American and the Irish side.
Yeah, my grandmother was a Native American. But the thing is, also too, taking on the pain and the suffering of the ancestors really messes you up. And you can heal that outside your aura by bringing in the higher ones to clear that up. You don't have to run it through your body. And I've seen people in the lodge take it on, and they almost took them out. I mean, they were deathly ill by doing that. And it didn't help them, and it really didn't help the ancestors either, but there are other ways of doing that are a little more graceful, you might say, a little easier to clear. And so, Yeah. And so, I mean, I don't want to step on anybody's thing or go against anybody's culture or anything else, but some things we need to kind of evolve and let them take a different path, and like a lot of Native American cultures, they know that they're supposed to give the power back to the women. Like the women are supposed to be in charge now. And a lot of them are holding on to the old programs, the old ways.
Yeah, I said if there's stuff like that in the mix, you have to stop and ask yourself. You just can't take this all at face value. And two, like you made a good point. People idolize the people who have passed. They don't realize how much of their own chromatic timeline. And that was hard for me to swallow. I'll have to admit that. People be like, well, that's your ancestry. And I was like, what does that have to do with me? It's not my problem, type of mentality. But then when you realize you're carrying and you're sucking these people right in through all of this and they're not able to. And also I have one other question is that, it kind of gets confusing, especially when they're talking about all of this, about the white light and going to the white light and then not going to the white light because, it's just like, and getting stuck here. What's your take on
and go to the brown light?
Yeah. I was like, make up your mind. I heard that
one too. Go to what's a brown light? I don't even know what that is. There is the brown note, the brown tone, but I don't even want to say what that is. But it's actually a weapon when you play that note. They call it the brown note because you end up going to the bathroom, when you. But anyway. I'll tell you my experience. My experience is when I had the drowning, I was going through all these levels and I saw relatives. I saw all these other beings as I was going, and there are other higher dimensions. And I went through the lower dimensions, and I kept hearing in my head, don't stop to talk, because you'll get caught up in the astral levels and things like that. You want to, and I kept hearing like just focus on love and joy and bliss. Like that's your path,
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up in the plane of bliss, which was a golden white light of just pure unconditional love and joy and bliss. So I'm unique yet one. So I'm a light being now. I don't have a physical body anymore, but there's a greater consciousness and energy or light around me. And some people go, well, that's the soul. Acme Soul Trap 2000 on the moon. I hear all these stories about that. And I don't think you can trap a soul. I really don't. It's too powerful. But
it feels like it, though. I want to make sure that we can't get trapped on here because I don't want to do this all over again.
Yeah.
This isn't a place that you want to be. Like, I mean, I can't imagine eternity here. That doesn't sound.
Yeah, you can. We choose, actually. A lot of us. I remember making that choice, and now that I'm here, I'm just wondering, what the hell did I do?
I say that I'm like, I could envision myself, James, going, "Oh man, I can take anything you can throw at me, yeah,
exactly,
big tough guy."
And then you come here.
Way to go.
And your dad's an alcoholic, and your mom's crazy. And all these things are happening, and you're just going, "Whoa!" I wasn't ready for that one.
Oh, no.
But we have to find that part within us that made that decision, that can walk this path, that to get through it. I was going somewhere. I forgot where I was going on that, but I think the bottom line is you have to transcend all cultures and all religions and get into unity consciousness, because even on the astral level, there are guides and teachers there that are stuck. Mm-hmm. Because they have a cultural belief or religious belief, they can't get off the wheel. And so they keep reincarnating over and over again. But you got to transcend all of that to get off the wheel. And then you choose whether you come in or not. You're not stuck on the wheel. And I think about that. What an awesome thing. You really think about it. When you leave, you go to a level that matches your consciousness.
Mm.
And so,
and you've had 3 near-death experiences.
2 and several white light experiences.
Okay.
But the thing is, what an incredible system. You really think about it. Everybody's going to go right where they need to go, and then they're going to return to finish up, old business. It's like taking somebody that's into heavy metal and then taking them into the heavenly realms where you hear this beautiful symphony music, and I mean, they'd be in hell.
Yeah. It'd be like a screech for them. Yeah. They don't have it. Yeah, they don't have that. And it's just, And then coming to that too, in every layer of this, you're going to face your biggest fears. That layer is going to be there to stop you and prevent you from going to the next level.
Yeah,
So
there's a
when you
level.
go through that. Yeah.
Yeah, they call it light review and things like that. But you're going to experience all the harm you've done on others, any trauma you've created, any harm, everything to get through that. And, it's a light review. And it's rough because and it's not a punishment. It's just for you to evolve and see how you can do things better, the next time around. A lot of times people pull all kinds of stunts on me, and I've had a lot of people take from me and things like that. And I go, well, enjoy your light review. You're going to figure out what you
tenfold.
Yeah. And I let it go, and it always comes back to me. I don't.
Man, there's karma, and you don't realize it, but that's like Dolores Cannon said a bunch of that too. I said, you're not getting through this without you. It's going to be almost like instant karma, and how you build it and how you continue is all upon you. And you can think that you're not a creator all day long, and your thoughts on what you thought yesterday, well, they might just be 6 months from now. It's speeding up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the action creates the reaction, and so. They say nature's slow to act, but thorough,
Oh, yeah. They don't miss a beat, do they?
It's the same with karma. It's like, if you don't get the lesson this time, it's going to come around. It's going to get amplified. It's going to hit you again and again till you get it, and there's no getting out of it, basically, other than surrender and keep operating under universal law. And I had a conversation with somebody today that is a pretty religious person, and they were and I said, I want you to think about this. I want you to tell me how universal peace is going to come. And she was saying, well, everybody has to accept Jesus. And I said, well, that's all fine and dandy. I do totally believe in Jesus and his teachings and everything else 100%. But, what about the Buddhists? What about all the other people, and what even the atheists, what if they're just a really good person? And I've seen more kind acts coming from atheists sometimes than people who profess to be whatever religious, but
oh yeah.
and then I was trying to explain to her, say, how are we going to get universal peace if we all force others to believe in our image of God or our master, our savior, and that creates a division. And if they don't, then they're ungodly, and that's the origin of the wars. There was never a holy war. There was always one king or leader wanting what another one had, and then he demonized the other group, and then they went to war. That's how they start. But who are you warring against other than the other children of God, and all their diversity? And I kept asking that question. So how do we end the wars, and the suffering, the disease, and all that stuff, and they still go, well, Jesus is the only way. And I'm not saying, and I'm just saying it's a way. It's a way. But I mean, people don't realize this is all going to come out, but Jesus traveled, he traveled through India and through Tibet, and he learned from there. And his message is a combination of everything that he learned in his journeys. And so we have to stop this division program and really start looking at the foundation, and see if there's golden threads throughout every culture, that are, because they recognize who he is. The Buddhists recognize.
And they look at, especially you think, these grounds, America has not been America for that long. We're less than 300 years old. We're just, halfway there. And then before then, it's like they wiped out your history here. Like how have you kept and preserved some of this? Because you're very spiritual, and that's a huge piece of this.
Yeah. How can you, I go, how do you top that? When you die and end up, in the plane of bliss, it's like, you can't forget it. You can't. And then when you're in that energy, you realize that God doesn't have an ego. It can't judge. It's like the sun. It's just shining on everybody. And we're kind of going like this. I'll have a little bit, and then we have all these images of wrathful gods and genocidal gods and jealous gods, and then we have an all-loving, all-forgiving God, and we don't know where those images came from. So we're kind of schizo, in that.
Yeah, that's how they play it with everything,
Yeah, and people don't realize that the little g gods created a lot of those images. The bearded gods of old created those images, but who created them?
Right.
And did they have a mother? What about their mother? What about their sisters? How come they aren't talked about?
And what about the cloning and all of this artificial stuff going on?
Yeah, and that's been going on for billions of years, believe it or not. It's not just happening now. I mean, people are going to be shocked when all the masks come down and they find out who is who and who is real and who's not real, and all their icons, all the people they believed in, where they find out they're pretty gross, and
that's a hard one to swallow. Yeah. There's people in this. There's about 10% of them that are really being authentic and genuine, for my take. And I've talked to a lot of people, and it's like, when you start to see some of this, and I'm like, oh, come on, it's disappointing, but you still have to acknowledge that.
Yeah. And you find out your icon might be posing as a woman, but it's really a man.
Yeah.
All these things are going to come out, and
ready to hang you at the stake when you're there. Yeah.
Because there's people they were in love with and having dreams with, and I won't go further than that, but they and all of a sudden they're going to find out, whoa, it's going to be a big reality check. So, I mean, we have to become our own star. We have to love and accept and approve of ourselves. We don't need to be looking for this external anymore. We need to stop worshiping idols and all these people, that we think are, and those people are miserable as hell. I know a lot of them, and I've done counseling for them, and their lives are a wreck. And and they smile for the camera, and they got their fancy clothes and their car and their mansions and everything.
Looks great, looks wonderful, but
they are a wreck. And that's what we're finding out now, that nothing is as is portrayed, and it has to, that has to collapse. That whole world has to collapse. There is
people don't realize you grieve not only the person you are, but the person you were with all this stuff. So there's not an easy transition of change at all. People are going to react.
No, it's like, I had to go through. I had to let go of a lot. I thought, when I died and crossed over, and I thought that I was going to go to God, and he's going to be a little old man with a beard, on a throne with a laptop taking notes and show,
Right. And you're going to be able to go and feast unlimitedly, like at the big buffet in heaven.
And he was going to give me a list going, you need to talk to Billy and tell him his dog's with us, and his mom's here too. And
go mess with the electricity down the 2 blocks.
Yeah. So I was waiting for the big list and everything. There was no list. And I go, what can I do? How can I serve? I just wanted to give back. And it came back to me and says, what do you want to do? What brings you joy? And I go, wow, I never thought about that. And then I realized finally that if you're aligned with your soul and doing what brings you joy, that's your God connection right there. And because God is bliss, it's pure unconditional love and joy and bliss in its most unlimited state. It's not a male or a female. It's more of a consciousness and energy. And there's probably levels beyond that. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. When you realize we're all connected,
Yeah. Yeah. And so I had to undo all these programs that were pushed on me, and, that hamburger universe, like Michal Ledwith talks about, that, where there's 2 buns and we're the meat in the middle, and there's heaven and hell. And that program, we have to let go of that, because it's beyond that. I wanted to share one story to you. My dad, when he passed over, our whole family was with him, and I was the only one he recognized in our family, because he had dementia, he was losing it, and because I was on the other side with him, and in the dreams I was talking to him and working with him, and he's still with me. He never died.
No, my grandma's the same. That's amazing.
And so it was really interesting when he died. He turned around and looked at me and he said, go heal. And I was struggling because I had all these things were lined up. I was helping this this scientist. He's got 9 PhDs, heal all these people. He had all these formulas, and I was doing all this work, and he said, go and do your work, go. And then the next thing he said was, beam me up. That was his last words. And
Oh, wow.
then he died. And I said, okay, what? Beam me up. Why would he say that? And so I walked outside and I look up, and here's this huge turquoise light ship above the house.
Oh, amazing.
And that's where he went. That's where he went. He's part of the Orion Council of Light. And so it's not just harps and pillows and clouds and things like that. It's a multidimensional universe, and we often go back to where we incarnated from, and nothing dies. Even the body doesn't die, because the life force is in the atom, and the body just disassembles back to the atom.
Oh,
and the soul moves on, and the soul is eternal. You can't kill the soul. You can't kill the light. It doesn't work. Energy can't be created or destroyed. It just is, so we go on to wherever. Mostly, a lot of times we go back to where we incarnated from, and we might have come in from the sixth dimension with the Orion Council of Light. We might go back to the Pleiades, where we incarnated from to help shed the light on the earth. We might go back to some Native American culture that we came in from.
I know. Do you think you have a control over it? I guess when you go on a bufo trail, you realize you have zero. Everything just shatters around you. You have no choice. You're thrown in the midst of a tree.
Yeah, you do. You have you're going to have a light review, and you're going to go back and see how you could do things better. Or if you did incarnate from a very high level, you may go back there for a while and rest and hang out. And some people who are just
rest a vacation.
You need a vacation for a while, but some people just turn around and come right back in because they want to finish their work. They want to see the fruits of their labor. They want it because now everything's coming down, and this has been going on for thousands of years, this project, and everything is coming to a head right now. And we're going into exciting times right now, and you can't stop what's happening. The Earth's ascending, and you can go finish out on some other timeline or some other planet or something. But you're not going to stay on Earth unless you rise to the occasion. You're
not. It's going to get so complicated. You're going to destroy yourself. Your frequency will not be able to take it. The vibration.
Even your body's not going to sustain itself. So your kingdoms, if your kingdoms are built on ill-gotten gain, they're going to collapse. The karma is going to take them down. Everything's going to be accelerated and amplified. Your body itself, if you're very low frequency and all that hate and guilt and envy and lust for power and wealth against everything, that all that stuff is a very low frequency, and it's not going anywhere. It's collapsing.
That's so true. That's so true. And it's like, with each individual one, that all this stuff and people it's hard for people. It's even harder for me to digest some of the crazy that's happening, but they're not. You have to understand that not everybody's place is to move forward.
Yeah. I see stuff and I just go, what? And I tell people, you're going to hurt yourself, careful, you're going to hurt yourself, think a little wiser before you go there. And it's pretty crazy watching, like I was saying, when I went into town the other day, I got run off the road by this big old truck, it's like, and
he probably was mad at you too.
It was intentional. It was unbelievable because I was getting on the highway and I was ahead of him, and I was getting on the highway and he passed me and then started running me off the road, and I was going, what the heck? And then I saw all the stoplights running and the zombie patrol, going on. People were losing it. We had a time fold and we had a full moon at the same time, and people, as I said before, are just losing it. They're not functioning. And so you got to really be aware of your surroundings and drive defensively and be aware of the energies in the rooms and places you're going. And we have a saying, if you don't like what you're feeling, do a healing, clear it. clear the
Oh
energy.
yeah, that's awesome to say that too. And you got to realize that you're gonna get stuck. I mean, that's a part of this, but it's
Oh yeah.
recognizing and coming to terms with it and going past that point that's gonna get you there.
Yeah. Yeah. And and it is true. It's like one master teacher told me something that once, and I didn't understand it. And he said, selfish is goddish. And I went, what do you mean selfish is? We're supposed to be in service to others and everything else. And then I finally got it. It took me years to figure out what he was saying, but we have our own unique soul purpose for being here, and we have to align with that. And that's when you're being authentic. And sometimes that's going to upset other people's apple carts, because they want you to be a certain way. They want you to do this, and they want you to go, they have all these plans for you.
Their apple carts are going to full-fledged flip over.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we really have to go within, it's like to thyself be true, basically, that old saying. We have to be true to ourselves. We have to be true to our inner guidance, what it's telling us, which is hard sometimes. Oh, yeah. And sometimes people are going to get upset because they already have a plan for you. They already have.
That's I call that preconceived resentment. I said when they put you in that box, it's because of their comfort. What irritates us about others is something about ourselves. You just have to remember that this is, and you're right too. Like what you said before, we're in a huge game of projection. And the people, they might have a little power, but these tables turn. And it's so important to have this spiritual side and this spiritual awakening. Because once it's just like the awakening process. You can't stop it. I was warned. Who wouldn't want to know the truth? But I have to ask you in all of this, like, I know that I was offered a deal. I would never sign an NDA. I would never do any of that. What have you been? Because people don't realize how easy this is to sign that dotted line. How easy it is. They're gonna dangle what you like most right in front of your nose. It's like,
I've gotten the letter, I've gotten the deal, and they said you're one of us, and we recognize your work and who you are, and if you join us, you'll get this card, and I think you get 10,000 a month on the card, and if you keep working with them, you go up the ladder. And I got that thing, and they're telling me how special I was and everything else, and I respectfully declined, and I said everybody is special, and if you believe you're special, you missed the whole mark, and that's now you're in spiritual ego, and so I said, but have a nice life, basically. I told him, and it would have been.
You have to. Good for you.
It would have been really easy to just take that deal, but see, they don't realize that I was, I've worn many hats in this lifetime. I've done everything from construction. I was in commercial real estate. I had my own office. I had people working for me, and I already did all that. And when I had the near-death experience, I walked away from it. Wow. And I realized there was no love or joy in it. And everybody was feeding off each other. And it was just a real manipulative mess. And it was, I already did that. I already walked away from all that. And the only real joy is following your own unique purpose and serving, others. And that's what really brings you joy. And this other stuff is just a trap.
Oh, so it is. I was in an office at one time. I was on the 5th floor at a nice view. I was an outpatient therapist. It's like I sat there hour after hour and consumed all of this negativity. I was a host. That's what I say it was. So before I woke up to any of it. But once you did, and then people think, you're crazy. You left, you have a master's degree in this.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, have you tried sitting hour after hour after hour? It was seeping into every part of my life.
Yeah. Because Ezekiel, he's one of the beings I work with a lot. And what happens, I was meditating, the Andromedans came in, and I go, why am I here? And they said, you're the hands and feet of Ezekiel. This is kind of wild, but. And I said, okay, who's Ezekiel? And they said, God of eternal bliss. And so I found out that Ezekiel is actually Ezekiel of old that merged with Cassia, and then they ascended. And so it has both aspects to it. and they're calling it the God of eternal bliss. The Andromedans were. Now, the Andromedans are mythologically known as archangels, and they're 8 to 10 feet tall. They have magnetized light bodies. They don't really have wings. They have energy lines that go out that look like wings. And when they move into this dimension, they feather back. So they look like wings, but it's more of an energy. And there are beings, and they're seventh dimensional beings, but there are beings that are beyond our imagination out there that aren't physical. But when you have a universal understanding of what's going on, then you apply that to the biblical understanding. You go, okay, that's what they're talking about, and a lot of Pleiadians, in Job, it talks about the sweet energies of the Pleiades and the sons of Arcturus. And you just gloss over that.
Yeah.
You just go, okay, well, whatever. But those are actually real civilizations that they're talking about.
And they've just tried to destroy that in everybody. Like they've literally eradicated this part out of the phenomena, and it's such an important part of it.
One of the original contactees was Ezekiel. And if you read the Bible, this shiny disc comes out of the firmament. It has bronze feet like calves. It has fire and brimstone coming out from underneath it. When it landed, it sounded like 1,000 rushing rivers. And then wheels within wheels, these chariots came out and they're zipping all over the place. And there's more to that story that are going to upset some people, but a guy steps out.
Just tell it. They're always going to be.
This guy steps out posing as God, right? And he orders 6 of his men with their shattering weapons to go destroy Israel. All the men, women, children, buildings, everything. How can 6 men destroy a city?
Oh God, they can.
I mean, what was that shattering weapon that they had? That's a mind blower. You think about it. Mm-hmm. And then he ordered one of the men dressed in all white linen to reach into the bowels and take hot coals and spread them around the city. He said, henceforth, anybody who comes here will die a hideous death. Their hair and fingernails will fall out, and there'll be food for the raven and the beast. That's radiation.
Yeah.
And next 100 years, nobody can go there, So anyway, that was one of the origins of the wrathful God. That's where we got that image from, the little g gods that were here posing as gods. And that's going to really upset some people.
The ego.
That's the real there's a lot of little g gods that were here playing around. Some were benevolent, some operated under universal law and taught that, and some weren't. Some were self-serving, and that's why we have a kind of a schizophrenic image of God. But there is the absolute that's beyond that, and so we have to know our real history, the real history of Earth. The Earth was colonized by some extremely advanced beings, and they got into turf wars. And some were benevolent, some weren't. Some were enlightened, and most of the enlightened ones moved on, and now they're returning to help us out again. But
it's so true. And then you think about I'm trying to think of the term, psychology, where somebody's being held captive by their captator, then they start to have they can't say that this person's been hurting me, or this person's
syndrome.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, you're right. Yes,
yeah.
It is.
And it's sad, and I don't. I've had these people come up, for priests and ministers, and I have a talk with them. I tell them the real history of Earth and what's really going on, and they go, "Now what do I do?" And I go,
"We've all been there."
I go, "Now you have a whole new ministry. You can tell the truth, and so they go, I know what you're saying. I was in Australia and I did a talk there, and I had these people come up to me and they go, you just shattered my world. It's like, I'm a good church going guy and everything else. And I said, well, you can do that if you want. I go, there's nothing wrong with it. As long as you're being kind to people on the planet, it's fine.
Right.
I said, I'm just going next level. I'm telling you,
Yeah, this is your human experience. You're in charge of it, and you're here for a purpose.
I'm just expanding your image of God, that it's not a little old man with a beard and a laptop that's going to punish you.
No.
And throw you into everlasting fire. That's not
like a George Carlin scheme. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. And those guys are gone. They've been removed, and I always tell people, why did Jesus say, God is all loving and all forgiving? and he said, I don't judge you, nor does my Father judge thee. Go and sin no more. So all he's saying is, look, I'm not here to judge you, neither does God. Stop screwing up. Stop going against universal law. It has consequences.
Yeah.
But sin is just an archery term. It means you screwed up. You missed. You missed the mark. Reload. Try again. It was never.
And it's happening if you're really getting real with yourself here. You're going right back around that loop, and you're gonna smack yourself right in the face.
Hell's a garbage dump where if you didn't have enough money, they threw you on the garbage and burned you with the rest of the I mean, that's the origin of these things. When people realize that, and those names have been used to control and manipulate people through fear, guilt, and unworthiness, and that's got to end because if God is love and joy and bliss, the highest frequency, there's no room for fear, guilt, and unworthiness. Those are lower frequency, lower vibrational energies.
And they're kept to trap you in. You're going to stay stuck in your bodies if you're there. Because that fear level, you got to face that. You do. You got to relinquish that control. And when you're having a near-death experience, I'm sure like you've reached that point where you had to relinquish control, whether you wanted to go or not.
You're not in control anymore. You're totally. They say that's the last frontier. It's giving up control. But what are you giving?
Shedding those earthly characteristics. Did you find? I know, like in being like psychology and working in all that, I followed Carl Jung a lot, like with all of his transpersonal psychology and archetypes and stuff. And he talked about a near-death experience where he shed all of that, and he was more of just a primal. And he said that was the hardest part. Did you go through any of that, or in your near-death experience, did you repeat all of your history here and have to burn I don't know.
I had everything returned to me, and this is going to sound really odd, but I've been around a long time. I actually flew by the earth when it was not solid yet, and it was not formed yet. So that's how old some of us are. We don't even realize the knowledge we have. If we just think we're a body and a personality, that's all we are, and we've trapped ourselves into that belief system. But,
they say ground yourself, and then they're teaching you the complete opposite of what you should do. You should completely let go and find out and soar. You get a eagle's perspective of what's going on. It's not, you're trapped. If you can't get past that point,
the more grounded you are, the more energy you can bring in.
Yeah, and that's what they fear.
Yeah. And so it is important to get grounded right now and actually adjust to the Earth's energy, because she's rising and her frequencies are changing. So we have to we have to recalibrate, take our shoes off, walk on the grass, and get out in nature as much as possible. And one of the lamas I study with, he told me, he said, do you know why there's so few enlightened people on this planet? And I said, no, why? And he said, because it's so damn simple.
It is too.
And he goes, you focus on love and joy and bliss until you become it, and get out in nature. And that helps you.
And take accountability for how you got there.
Yeah.
Your thoughts today that control tomorrow.
And you really think about it, the complicated. We made everything so complicated.
Oh, I know.
And like we teach Qigong here, which is the original Qigong. It's a very simple form. And they say less is more. And the more complicated you get, the further you get away from the 0 point or your God connection. And so in practicing that, you realize, you're aligning with the elements, and we are the elements in ourselves. We're aligning with water, earth, fire, and air, and spirit or whatever. And so in doing that, I started realizing from the Lama's perspective that your mind, you got to give your mind something to do.
Yes.
I tell people, if you want to meditate and try to blank out your mind, good luck. You'll never not going to happen. But you have to let the mind run out of gas and then take it to the next level. And it'll run out of gas, and then you take it to the next level. And you always bring it back to the heart or through the breath, and you focus on love and joy and bliss and bring it back to that. And that's going to take you to the next level. But you can't blank out the mind, because the person trying to blank out the mind is your ego, basically. You have to surrender and let it run, and surrender to your higher self or whatever, and let it go that way.
And that's so true, that narrator in your head and gaining control of that. I used to, I don't know about you, but like I'd sing over it. I do whatever I could to block it out. And I realistically told myself everything is a lie, because it is. It's a subjective collective of garbage. We build a story. We don't remember minute by minute, but your soul does. And that part of you does. And it's like all those pieces they told you to deny and that were crazy and that connect you, that make you really feel grounded. Like those are the moments you feel the most at peace and the most at one. And that's, otherwise you're in equilibrium. No, I was just going to say it's an equilibrium. I mean, it's all about maintaining balance.
Yeah. If you look at the earth unfolding right now, everything that was a lie is crumbling. And there's so much truth coming in and being revealed, especially concerning our origins and the real history of Earth and who we are and all the manipulation that's gone on and all the control patterns and the tyrants and all that is coming up right now. And it's good, it's being released. And we're taking a good hard look at our leaders. Some of our leaders, it's crazy. I mean, you look at these people that are installed. A lot of them are pretty messed up people, and they're running countries.
They are too.
They are. And some you think are women or men, and some are. It's just like.
Just because you're a priest doesn't mean that you're safe around kids. Just because you're a police officer doesn't make you a good guy. That's the trick of your mind.
And it's all about character. It's not about culture. It's not about color. It's all about character. And I tell people come up to me, they go, well, I'll never have contact, And I said, why? And they said, because I haven't done any spiritual practices, or I haven't done this, or I haven't done that. And I said, good, you're a clean slate, You're
not jaded yet.
I said, all you got to do is focus on love and joy and bliss and send it to them with the intention of having contact. And if something else comes in, do a clearing, clear it out. Say, no, I'm not going to play that game, You'll feel it. And
because you go through those raw moments, and that's when you're most vulnerable to those attacks. That's what you have to remember.
Yeah. And the universe is going to test you. The more you ascend, the more you move up levels, the universe is going to test you and see how you're going to do. And then you really got to practice loving detachment. Well, that was it. Master fear, and you'll see things and one of the things, your third eye opens up, you're going to see some beautiful beings, but you're going to see the shadow beings too.
Yep.
So both sides you're going to see, and your heart opens up, you're going to feel everything, and you're going to know people's real intentions, or the telepathic thing opens up. All of a sudden you're going to see people saying one thing to you, but you're going to go, I know what they're really thinking. I know what they're really feeling, and what they're doing is totally incongruent, so.
And if you stay quiet, then you're part of the problem. You can't do that. Otherwise, you're allowing this to happen.
No. And my favorite words are have fun with that, and walk away. We have a funny thing.
Yeah.
You have these people that come up the ranch, and they're totally debunkers and skeptics, and usually their wives drug them up here, and
they're coming to prove you wrong.
Yeah. Wrong. And I had one scientist go, you know what? I'm not going to believe these aren't satellites until I see one turn around and go the other direction. So two were coming right in on each other like this, and all of a sudden they went back the other way, and it freaked him out. And now he had to deal with it. And then he kept trying to argue with me, and I go, check that out. And he looked up, and there was another ship. I go, check it out. And he looked over at the ship, and I left. It's dark out. You can't tell if I'm there or not. I could still hear that guy talking to me, trying to argue with me for about another 5-10 minutes. And I was gone, And so we don't need a win. We don't need to argue. We don't need to. And sometimes love of self demands you just remove yourself from the situation.
That's so true. And don't be afraid to burn bridges. Some of the best lights comes from burning bridges. I mean, this is a time that we're being separated. Exactly. And there's a good reason for it. You got everybody, and two, like you can't bring everybody along, but this is their journey, and you can't pad it, you can't stop it. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, it might not be their time.
Mm-mm.
Eventually everybody's going to figure it out because it's not optional. But
Yeah.
they might have to figure it out somewhere else. They might have to go on another timeline to another dimension, another planet. It's like, and that's okay. That's what they've chosen. But it doesn't have to be your world. Or
No, you don't have to take that on or carry that. You don't have to be a martyr and jump in front of the bus like I always thought. That was my excuse. But you can go minute by minute and say, every conscious decision I knew, whether or not it was a good one or not, whether or not it was going to be a good one or not, I knew what I was doing. You're just wasting time. You're stalling the inevitable.
I love, there's an old saying, I've never made a mistake. I've manifested a lot of things and gained a lot of wisdom. And you can always say that. I've never sinned, but I've manifested a lot of things and gained a lot of wisdom. We need to get back to that. And the universe is going to put you back on track no matter what. That's the way it works. But we need to get away from those fear, guilt, and unworthiness trips, because you're never going to connect to Creator if you're running that program. And if you're pushing it on others, it's
part of the problem. And that's just it is so much of this stuff that's going on in instability is because we don't feel something is right. Our bodies, that cellular memory is telling you, and you can't accept it. You're only as sick as your secrets. You only, it comes to stripping down like all these earth. You can't take it with you. So yeah, go ahead.
I think one of the most common things being said right now is, I can't do this anymore.
Oh Lord. Well,
yeah, that everybody is reevaluating right now, and they're looking at what they're doing, who they're working for, and all of this, and they're looking at it and just going, I can't do this anymore.
So they're basically saying that they're not willing to call it out or step in front of the battle zone, whether or not you do. You can't sit there and be compliant.
The next step would be probably call it out, but
yeah.
Which would be consequences, and you probably end up losing your job or whatever. But that's okay because that world is collapsing anyway. And so, I was on David Nino's show. It was really good interview, and we were talking about that. And he didn't mind me sharing this because he shared it on the air, but he was saying, God, my world ended when this happened. And I said, no, your world began.
Yeah.
It began when that happened, because look where you are now. Look what you're doing now. And so a lot of people are going to go through that right now. One world is ending, or one program they're running is going to end. And they just have to let it go. And there's a whole new program coming that's going to be more aligned with their soul and universal law, basically.
Well, it's just really stripping yourself of all those things that you've been told and all those little boxes that you've been put into. And I said, that's one thing I've always been that ADHD kid out in the hallway or in the, so I've never, it would be harder, I think, if I were in a room that were like, oh, we accept, I reject all of that. You got to be the resistance in a lot of this. Otherwise, it's just going to stream on through. And this is your children's world. We're leaving this to other people. It's not our place to do this.
Yeah, we do have fire circles here. We have a talking stick, and a lot of parents bring their kids, to it. We have teaching young masters and things like that. And we let the kids, we pass the talking stick around, and the parents can't talk. And the kids, and we'll start off like a couple questions. Well, like, why do you think you're here? Or what do you think the earth needs to do to heal? What do we need to do? And you just give a couple questions, and these kids go off around the corner. And I got to film one of these things because they have all the solutions.
Oh yeah.
The simple solutions and things like that. And at the end, the parents will go, wow, I've screwed up.
I only listen.
Way off a track. I need to start listening to my kids, and it's amazing. A good example of that is Little X.
Oh yeah.
Boom, he calls it out, and he's like tapped in, that kid. And,
my son's the same way. I cringe, but then I'm like, man, good for you. I'm glad that's, it's not the don't be seen and whatever, be seen and not heard.
I think another one is Barron Trump. When you look at him, he's quiet, he's kind of reserved and things like that. But there's a very powerful being in there, and when you see his mannerisms, and he doesn't he won't play the game, and you can, and he's just blowing it out, calling it all out and everything, and rightly so. I mean, he's very accurate in what he's saying, and so, but I see a lot of the younger generation, especially the little kids, are just lit up coming in.
I know. Yeah, I know. I was talking to my son the other day. He likes to get me going a little bit. He knows, and he's like, well, what if I said, well, Bertie, your generation has loved just to make up different definitions of terms. So I don't blame you for what you're doing now, but I'm just not going to play this game. I always tell him, and he gets a kick out of it. But, it's true. It's like if we don't make them aware and they're not at some point resistance here, I mean, they're coming to make their own decisions, and it's not going to benefit anybody in the long run.
I mean, the word sick used to mean, that's sick, that's bad, and then it totally shifted. And my nephews are going, oh, that's sick. And I go, what do you mean that's sick?
Yeah.
That's really cool. And they go, no, that's what I'm saying. That's sick. Yeah. And so we keep having these new words, and I don't even know what half the new ones are.
I know.
But I don't follow it. But
no, I don't think anybody can, but people don't realize that spelling, is so, and changing these, even though you're using them, it's still a frequency that's being transmitted. And you're like, a human walking tower. Some of us are.
Yeah, they transmuted the word sick into a positive thing, if you really think about it. So that right there alone is showing the younger generations are movers, and they're changing things and things like that.
That's what we need to be doing, is empowering. I know he people like, oh, and I said, I'm always glad. I always call it kind of constructive demolition, but I'm aware, and I like that he takes a stand and that he does fight me back on some things, because I'm not the ultimate authority here on anything.
Yeah, it's really, I always say challenge, it's like truth stands on its own merit. And it doesn't need defense. It stands on its own merit. And if you challenge it and it doesn't hold up, then obviously maybe it wasn't true.
Right. And two, are you doing a show tonight? I wanted to let people know where to come. We're going to bombard your channel tonight. You're doing a show. Can you tell everybody where to find you guys? Looking for James, more of his work. And like I said, I'll be uploading. He's given me some phenomenal stuff. I'll put it together and I will release that since he okayed that. But yeah.
I have some more too coming. I mean, we have 5 cameras that each took about 300 something photos and videos of ships and everything. We're getting it all. We're kind of going through it and editing it now, but it was this last 4th of July weekend was insane. There were just fleets of ships coming in. But if you go to ECETI Stargate on Rumble, on X, Telegram, mostly Rumble is where I hang out. I go into the chat, and sometimes I'll have a bad sense of humor, so bear with us. We all have fun there. But also on BBS Radio, As You Wish Talk Radio on the BBS Radio network. I'm on there, and I think that's connected to iHeart and something else. And then we have ECETI Stargate TV too. But basically, if you type in ECETI Stargate, I think it'll all come up. And we're on YouTube too, but I'm a little outside of their community standards for some reason.
Oh, I've had more YouTube. I said that mine's only, I said I've had so many YouTube shut down. I'm not even attached to it. I don't even.
We just have a lot of footage on there of the ships, and it seems like we're working on Hawaii right now and doing some work there, and boy, the UFO activity there is crazy. I mean, we're having masters appear and beings with shields and Menahunis running around. It's pretty.
There's a lot. You got to think of the history too. There, what part? Like without telling us what part are you in? Are you on the main island? Are you on?
I'm on the Big Island.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on the Big Island, and we're not really ready yet for guests. We're working on it, but we're hoping to. We had a couple setbacks, but we're hoping to get. We might do some like mini conferences there and things like that. So if you go to ECETI.org, we'll let you know what the next events are. We have a lot of events. Go to the calendar, and you'll see we have a lot of classes and workshops, herbal workshops, healing workshops.
And that's where they can go to register or get on those.
Yeah. Yeah, if you go to ECETI.org, you can see, just go to the event section. It'll tell you what the next, I have a self-mastery class coming up that it's a combination of self-mastery and ambassador training, where we cover everything from who's who in the universe, from the dark to the light, and teach people how to heal unseen negative influences. And we actually engage the higher dimensional beings come in.
Yeah.
Initiate and work with people, and you walk away with your own connection.
Yeah, it's not an easy journey. You're going to face every single demon that you've created down here that's created you, but it's
we're all about empowering the individual. We're not, there's no worshiper, there's no, we don't have a guru here.
No, that's a hard thing for people to digest, is that, it's like you've really like shown, it's like that even though you got and you were in this place, that you're human, like you're going through all these same things that the questioning some of the same stuff that the rest of us do. I just wanted to ask you too, we had a question come in before and I saw it go out. I just wanted to ask you too. Oh, hi Heidi. There's a lot of cool people in here right now. So James saw a mountain, is the mothership, excuse me, not a mountain. 3 days later, we saw the same ship and recorded it. A year later, James saw it again on his birthday. Question is, James, have you seen it again or only 2 times? Somebody asked, Yeah,
no, they've been coming through here regularly, but I was meditating my birthday and I said, for my birthday, I just want a mothership to come right over the house. And that was all. That's all I wanted for my birthday. And sure enough, they delivered, and it's massive. It whites out the whole camera, and we have it on film.
I've seen some of your footage. It's amazing. It really is.
When it powered up, everybody felt it. You had a big heart pulse, and everybody got really giddy afterwards, and we're laughing and it was and we're getting a lot of motherships and doubles coming in. Excuse me.
How often do you think you're coming in contact visually with them?
Every night.
Every night.
If the skies are clear, you're going to see things here. Mm-hmm. Some nights are really busy and some are a little slow, but a slow night would be like 15 or 20 ships would be a slow night.
Wow.
A busy night would be like 200 ships and some power-ups and things like that. So it depends. I mean, they're working very hard here. They're working through consciousness and energy and the dream state, and they have their work to do, and they're trying to settle down some of these wars. They're not going to allow World War III. That won't happen. They'll just dematerialize whatever we try to launch up, but they'll allow us to go so far and to help us evolve, because we have to gain the wisdom through experiences, and eventually when we're done with this stuff. But there's a limit, they live here too. There's some various races. There's Earth beings too that aren't happy with what we're doing on the surface. So
and you don't realize, like, you have to stay within those parameters too. There's, like you said, those comedic rules that people play by. So what's your whole take on humanity? Where do we go from here? Because I just see we're at really like a pivotal point right now. We're going to start dropping, I feel like we're going to start dropping like flies, because a lot of us aren't going to make it through the Ascension.
Right now we're going through the polarities. We're going through the people that are choosing universal law and to live a spiritual life in harmony with each other and in service to others, as I said before. And the other people are self-serving and they want to control and dominate everybody and use their technology to do so. And that group, and it's a bifurcation of worlds, and the other world is a downward spiral.
Yeah.
And this is the Hopi tradition. It's written in stone, and the people that take the upward journey are going to continue, and that's going to be amplified right now. And you're going to see a lot of, we're going to lose friends, family, people are just going to go in different directions. And
there's going to be a lot of grief and loss. You not only grieve the person you were, but the person you have become. So you just have to keep, taking that. It's a part of the process.
You don't know. That's why I tell people, this one person goes, I lost my father. And I go, where'd you put him? What do you mean? And I said, in your mind, you lost your father. In your mind, your father's dead. And you created that reality. But the truth of the reality is he's standing right there. He's right next to you. And
we have in a human body. Yeah, you can't see everything. That's a part of reality.
Yeah. And so we see a small percentage of the electromagnetic light spectrum and there's all these other dimensions levels going on. And as I said before, nobody dies. Nobody. We just move on and we continue our evolution, our journey. And and like me, my ancestors are still here. I mean, they're still hanging around. They're just a thought away.
Yeah.
As well as all those civilizations. I mean, the Pleiadians are just a thought away. And so are the benevolent, all the other benevolent races out there. And I mean, there's everything going on from human beings to humanoid feline beings to you name it out there. It's a vast universe, and you got to master fear, because when they come to you, they may not look exactly like you'd expect them to look, but
like Hollywood, portrays it to be. It's not like that at all.
We have photographs of a being that looks like ET. They're wearing robes, and the face just looks just like ET. And I said, where did these guys come from? And they said, they're the masters. They're the teachers of the teachers. And they just materialize, and they're wearing robes, and they were totally benevolent, but I could tell sitting with them, I was pretty much outside of my league,
Oh yeah. Here on Earth, we all look different, but we're bearing a lot of the same souls. That's what they take
exactly. Yeah. And so a lot of us we've lived in these other civilizations, but what's really cool right now is they're digging up all this stuff in the Antarctic and things like that. And they're finding out that there were very diverse beings living here that were thousands, if not millions of years ahead of us in consciousness and technology. And they all look different, and that's all coming out right now. And the cool thing is they're returning. They're coming back, so.
Oh, they're brave.
Yeah. And so that's going to be very interesting, and
not everybody's meant to walk this entire journey. That's just the thing.
That's the thing. Some people are going to see them, some people are going to experience them, and some aren't.
Yeah.
And it's because they chose that.
Well, I just wanted to say that I really appreciate it. What time does your show start tonight? And I'd also like to invite you back for part 2, because we didn't even really scratch the surface here on all of the phenomena. And I'd love to get the information out, because you're so authentic and genuine, and when someone just opens up all their evidence, like I was ready to stamp it for him, and he's like, no, this is, we got more. They keep coming here. Release it to the people. That's absolutely amazing. And I would love to get your message out there and get people directed back to you, because
it's at 8. I'm hoping they save me a plate for dinner. They usually do. But
I'll let you go and enjoy your dinner, but I'll be in contact soon if we could do a part 2, and I can take it from here.
Definitely. Yeah, let's do that. And it's 8:00 Pacific Standard Time. And again, if you just type in ECETI Stargate, it'll come up. But Rumble is the one we usually go into, and I'll go in there and I give people feedback. People ask questions, and sometimes we do a whole show on question and answer, just to help people understand what's happening around them.
And they can check too. I included all your links, and they will all go out when this is all streamed on all the stuff center. So I'm gonna let you go. You enjoy dinner, James, and thank you so much. I'm gonna head and I'll be in touch soon. Yeah. Oh wow, he was amazing. I just have to say that through all of this, that the people that have paid the way, that there's not always like these concrete steps on, and just to see somebody that was so passionate about it, that just released, I can't wait for everybody to see these things. But I was really concerned. I said, well, I don't want anybody stealing these. I don't want this to be, our fault that, somebody's like, no, let them go. We can get more. If it's the people, it's more important to have that information out there. So in saying that, it's really great to be able to connect. I never take for granted what place we are in. We're here to give everybody a platform, in telling your truths, if that's where you're at. And do remember, if you made mistakes along the way, that's nothing. You can get past it. It's continuing to lie to yourself. You got to get real. And some people you just have to let go, and they're not going to be the same people. I don't know if we jumped timelines, how we did it. I don't have an exact answer, but I can tell you that we're at a point here, and you got to just let that part go. If you want to go further, sometimes you have to leave it behind, drop that baggage. But in thanking everybody, I just, we had a absolutely great show tonight. I encourage you we are out on, and we are going, it's cool to watch, but we've been released in the UK officially, Australia and Canada on the platforms. And we are also going to be streaming on like 45 additional. So we've really been working hard at this and getting this out there. And stay tuned, because we got some really exciting things that we're going to bring on. And it's all about bringing the truth. And it's all about, if you're ready to accept it. Not everybody is. And that's not why we're here. So sometimes doing the hard thing, if you see something, say something and do something. Don't just sit by and let it go on. Because so many of these things, I would say to the people, but you're good. Why are you allowing this to go on? Why? Oh, well, no, the resistance is really needed at this point. And, just going with it and trusting yourself. So I just wanted to thank everybody again. Thank you for taking the journey into the unknown with SNX Radio. Again, we will be back to you next weekend with some great guests and some great topics, but it's all about awakening, and it's all about finding your truth, not mine. So again, on behalf of SNX Radio, we are so appreciative for all your support, and we're going to continue to push forward and get the experiencers out there, because they are, truly telling you what has happened. And until you can digest it yourself, maybe it's just not your time, just not ready for that information. But if you're the ones that are messaging me and they're like, prove to me this is real, and I just roll my eyes and think, yeah, like I have time in the day to do that. But there was one time where I really would have, and getting caught up in all that, sometimes they're just not ready for it. And saying that, everybody enjoy your weekend. Have a safe weekend. And on behalf of SNX Radio, we want to thank you again for all your support. We couldn't be here without you. And so we're really excited to keep you updated on where we're going and on the major platforms. Go ahead and download the streaming service. You'll find us. You should find us about everywhere. So if not, we're working on it, and we're going to get there. So SNX Radio is taking over the radio waves, like I said, so we can get more attention to this topic. This topic's so important that some of us have put our very lives on stake. We've given up our, what some people would say is we've taken the blows, we put our lives on the line, and we're still doing it because it's that important. So in saying that, again, enjoy your weekend. I hope everybody was safe, and I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again soon.
All right.
From the foundation takes quest, the truth is our guide in the vast expanse. It's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the groove surround us. Everything's alright. SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Heavy bass drops with tight beats.
Illuminate the shadows, the echo of our call.
On this road we will never fall.
Feel the energy rising, can you sense the spark? As we dive deeper into the cosmic arc.
Stories of the universe, mysteries unfold. In the heart of SNX, where the truth is gold. Every note we play, every line we write, crafting our legacy, shining ever bright.
SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spot. Here in the spotlight, we're taking our turn. With the fire in our hearts, let the passion burn. As the next radio's call ringing through the air. Together we rise, together we dare.
So join us now, let the rhythm flow. With SNX Radio, we're ready to go. Unraveling the mystery side by side. We stand hand in hand. In this dance of truth, let the story expand.